Let's see. It's going live now, and I'm going to make sure that the sound is turned down so I don't have double sound. And then we'll get started. Here we go. Yeah. And record. Okay, so I'm super excited to have David McCarthy, and my name is Ralph Havens. We're going to be talking about healing or clearing people and spaces. And so I'm going to start with a little bit of a story, because our session, this is a Miracles, Magic, and Healing podcast every Wednesday at this time. And usually it's on Facebook, and then we put it on all the other platforms. But today it had to go on YouTube, and there's a reason. And I'm going to tell a little story about this, and you might relate to it, and see. And then we're going to talk to David about what he does, because what he does is very unique, and it's a way to clear stuff that's in the way of getting what you want in life, especially when it seems like what the heck is going on? Like, why is this not working, or it's working in a really funky sort of way? And so I'm going to tell one story, and then I'm going to introduce David, and then we're going to get right to it. And so years ago in 2012, I was looking forward to taking a really nice trip from San Diego, where I lived, to Portland, Oregon, visit some friends, take the train to Seattle, take a class in matrix energetics, and take the train, and then go to Vancouver, Canada, and visit our friends, and then come back down. And the night before, I had a call from my friend who's an acupuncturist in San Diego, and she said, "Ralph, you have to call this guy." I was just on a call with this homeopath, or I was just with this homeopath at Louise Hay's condo back when Louise Hay was alive, and he's amazing, and he does this healing work. And so I called him, and he picked up the phone, and I said, "Hey, I'm coming to Portland. I would like a session." And he said, "Sure, just come by on Sunday." So very unique way, like, I'm coming by on Sunday. So I'm leaving the very next morning on a Friday, and that night I had a terrible earache, and my head was just going to explode. And I was like, "Oh my God, I can't get on a plane. I'm going to blow out my ears." And so I was so mad, and I told Jen, my wife, "I'm not going to be able to make it. You go, you have fun on the vacation. I'm going to just have to sit in San Diego because I'm going to blow my ears out." So as 5 o'clock in the morning rolled around, my ears got better. And then I was like, I think I could make it. And I got to Portland. And when I went to see him on Sunday, he said, "This sort of thing happens to a lot of people. They cancel their appointment, or for some reason they have a problem and they don't make it to their first appointment." And he said, it's because they're going through a door where everything changes, where thing in us can sometimes make it where we you don't get to bring the ego with you. And there's a bunch of stuff that seems like resistance, but it's a door that you're at, a very important door. And long story short, I always wanted to live in the Northwest. By the next April, we were already set to get rid of everything in San Diego and hit the road and live in the Northwest. So I want to introduce and David McCarthy, who I've gotten to know him over the past few months, and he's got a process to clear stuff that's in the way when it's not making sense. So David, I want to just say thank you for being here, and if you could just introduce yourself a little bit more. I can talk about your history and the stuff you've accomplished, but welcome, and can you just let people know who you are?
Okay, hi. So I'm David McCarthy. So I'm had a bit of a varied career. So I'm a pharmacist by profession, and then maybe I saw the light, and then went the complete natural route. Down to an illness my son had. Then went the completely natural route. And now, you don't need to take medicine if they don't need to take medicine. I've really been doing that for many years, and then have become an expert in that field. I'm a great avid researcher. That analytical scientific mind stays with me, and I always want to study all the time. So I want to know what's going on and why. And really over the years, and refine the food, and then and the understanding of how you can get your health. Followed more of a macrobiotic approach, which is more of a holistic approach. And then really, a couple of years ago, that all changed for me. So I've been a healer for the last 25 years. And And my wife used to say when I used to do healings on somebody that people came in the room afterwards, the room would feel lovely. And I thought, wow, I don't know how I heal spaces, but that's interesting. And I was drawn to thinking about how to can heal spaces. And then, an opportunity fell in my lap. I mean, do I tell this story as well, Ralph? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes, please.
So I there was a business owner. Her business wasn't doing very well. Was invited in to have a look around, and we went into the business. We looked around and saw what she was doing. It was all very good, and then said, "Oh, come downstairs. I want to show you downstairs into the basement." And we got into the top of the basement. I was with my wife, who's a sensitive person, and she said, "I can't go down there. I'm feeling hands around my neck." So I said, "Oh, well, I'm going to go down." So I went downstairs, and after about a minute, I felt the hands around my neck and a lot of oppression and everything. Then I came out and I said, "Whoa, it's very heavy down there." And I said to the woman, "If you like, I'll heal it for you." But I had no idea why I said that, because I'd never actually healed a room or a space before. So anyway, I subsequently healed the space. And when I was healing it, I found that there was, to my surprise, I got there was 38 African slaves there. I got the year when they came, and I got the name of the leader and everything about them. And a number of them were in chains and manacles and things, yeah. And they were at the bottom of the stairs. So I cleared them away. I moved them into the light, yeah. And they went readily and very, and when they went, I had a palpable shift in me, like a really strong emotional response. Because, you do this and you're thinking, well, is this real? Is this not, what's going on? Is it just my imagination?
Yeah.
Anyway, so then I contacted the lady, and she said, "Well, before you say anything, I think you must have done the clearing." So I said, "Why is that?" "Well, my cleaner came in today," and she said, "Well, I'd never mentioned what I was doing, that I asked you to do some healing." And she said, "The place feels like a new building. What have you done to it? It feels so happy in here." Anyway, then I said, well, and then I thought, well, do I tell her what I found? Because it sounds, a little bit strange, but I did. I said, I found 38 African slaves, and they were there in 1732, and da da da. And then she said to me, "Well, I didn't show you, and I didn't know this information." She said, "But at the end of the basement, there was a window which had bars on the window, and it used to be a door, and that door led down to a passageway which led down to the docks of this particular city, and Black and African slaves were smuggled through the passageway into the city through her property." And I thought, whoa. So that really clarified what I'd done. And I thought, wow, how did I do that? And then just things went on from there, really.
And what happened to the business at that point? Like, what
The
happened at that
business
point?
turned round and she started to attract people in again. So, yeah, and her plans all started to come together, which is good. She was relieved.
And yeah, and so do you, do you know what happened? Like how, what do you think happened there? Like you had this, something happened, like you saw stuff. Were you used to seeing stuff like that before? Or was this?
I sort of like, yeah, I've always been a bit psychic-y, a bit medium-y. And I did do mediumship courses years ago. And so the reason I got onto my journey was I lost my son, and that's really what changed my life. First of all, he was given 4 weeks to live when he was the age of 9 with an inoperable brain tumor, and there was nothing in the medical world which could help. And I thought, wow, I've been worshipping at this church of science, and and there's nothing to help. And I knew that food was important. So I knew to change our diet quickly. And I thought, I'm going to stop everything. I think might be it. And we turned vegan overnight. And then we got some help on because I could network with lots of people. So on different supplements and goodness knows what. Anyway, the tumor disappeared and for 18 months. Then it came back again quickly. I got rid of it again quickly, but my son passed away with, after the tumor had gone, with blood poisoning very, very, very quickly. But it was his time to go, and I'm forever grateful for him getting me on my journey. And then really since then, I've been helping people using natural approaches to heal. We started with different cancers and things, and now it's to everything pretty much you can do. So, and that,
I'm sorry to
that, and that was really, and that really at the time got me into, I wanted to, I knew he was still around. I couldn't see him. I knew he was somewhere. And we had Uri Geller. I don't know if you know Uri Geller, or Uri Geller, I don't know, maybe you pronounce it different. The spoon bender. He would bend spoons just by touching them gently.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, so he was very, so he lived in England for a while, and we became friends, and he used to send healing to my son Jonathan. And afterwards I thought, I want to connect more with my spiritual side. So I went along and studied, mediumship and things to try to get closer to my son, shall we say, yeah. So in that I developed skills that I'd never really put into much practice in an arena or with consultations or anything. So really I had the skills and I didn't realize it, but I was using them. So so I can see, sometimes I see, I hear, I feel, I just know. So I just get words, images, names. I ask questions.
That must have been a really a crazy time. I mean, your son passed away, and then you could sense him, and then and all this stuff started coming in. It must have been not. It must have been challenging.
But in a really good way.
In a good way. Oh wow!
It was good, really. Everything I look at as being, I look at the positive side of everything, and the positive side of my son, and he's changed my life. Otherwise, I would have carried on being a pharmacist and doling the pills out, and probably needed to take a lot of the medication myself. So and life's not been that way. So no, the complete opposite. So
oh wow! So it was. That's amazing. And so this happened with the that house that had housed slaves, and then and now you do a few things. One is you still work a lot with diet and nutrition and holistic ways like that to help people heal. And you have this way of clearing stuff. And I've actually reached out to you to help with one of my friends that's dealing with stuff that's unexplained, even though he's doing lots of deep work. It's kind of like, part of me wants to know, how does that work? But part of me also realizes I don't even know how this Wi-Fi stuff works, yet we can still use it. So it's the it's more like it's more like just knowing that you're here is really good to know. This sort of thing can be handled.
Yeah, it's working remotely as well, which I find is amazing, because you can be anywhere you want to be. So and sometimes I do some remote viewing, but otherwise I just connect, and I don't need to do that.
Yeah, and I'm familiar with that version of healing.
Yeah, it's been strange. Somebody contacted me who was I really work with healers, and healers are my #1 clients, because when you're a healer, you're a light worker, you're working with a light, but actually you're often helping damaged people and that carrying a lot with them, and that you can just take that on very easily, because that's just what you do. So really, and that happened to me for the first few years. I realized I was taking on other people's stuff, And really, it's about, preserving your energy, but actually, healers and the ones that work really hard can just, they're like a beacon of light at attracting flies. Light attracts moths and flies and things, yeah? And that's really what you are. If you're a light worker, and the flies are like the darkness, the dark entities that come to you. And some can be quite, not overly malevolent, but they can still weigh you down. There's a lot of energy.
Interesting.
Yeah, in the world, there's a lot of energy.
So when you work with people, I've noticed that I noticed I'm about to see a client, and then I feel something, and it's like, oh, I'm tracking that person, and sure enough, I get on the call, and they're dealing with something that's like, oh, that's why I was feeling a little this way, and then it's done, and it's cleared, and it feels fine to me. But you're saying that when you're playing in this spiritual or this light energy kind of way, that some dark energy is going to affect you. And just to give people a little heads up, we had quite a time trying to get on today with David, because all of my computers broke yesterday, and I had to go buy 2 computers, and I've been spending the last 24 hours trying to fix them, and then it still wasn't working. So that I found that my wife's computer worked enough to like get on, and I'm like, oh my God, this feels like something is going on. And then you track some stuff ahead for me ahead of time. This is interesting. What do you say about like people that might have a pattern that seems to keep showing up? Like, that their desires are like different versions, but it's the same kind of desire that they want. And some people achieve their goals really easily, and everything works for them, and other people it's like a little bit of a road, and some people don't, and yet they still seem to have a lot of the very good desires that would be useful for the planet and people, and they have obstacles in the way, and they just keep having obstacles, and stuff happens. Like in general, stuff doesn't happen that gets in my way in a big way anymore. I've done a lot of work, yet this morning a lot of stuff kind of went all weird. What would you say to people that are trying to do something, that have a desire, some sort of goal, some sort of vision, and to use this sort of stuff that you do to help them? There's stuff to do in the physical world, but this is different.
There's lots of ways to look at that, but obviously, if someone's got a desire to do something, and they've got a strong intention, and they can see where they're going with it, that's a very powerful thing. But actually, then, so from there's different angles to go with, but so yeah, you can then, depending on our own health and our own condition, you can, if your health isn't so good, or you're compromising your health in any way, maybe you're working too hard, that can affect your intention as well, and can take you off, and this is where probably more of the food angle comes in, and it's keeping your balance with the food, and having the right food going forward. So, if you're, continually snacking, grazing, sugary snacks, processed food, that's going to take you off course. And, if your your intention is one thing, but actually your health is taking you off course, you're never going to get your intention or your dream so much. So
yeah, we've noticed that ourselves. Like a lot of stuff is just pure lifestyle. If you get somebody off of gluten that's really sensitive, it can make a world of difference. Or like you said, the sugar or the processed food. We find the EMFs, and I know you do stuff to help people clear EMFs. The cell phone and Wi-Fi sensitivity thing. What's the best? I've got, actually, I can find it here. But if you want to, what's the best way for people to reach you?
They can email me at david@healingpeopleandspaces.co.uk. I'm also on Instagram. Now you're going to ask me what my Instagram handle is.
Yeah, put all that in. Put everything in the chat, and I'll post it everywhere. I should have had this all loaded up ahead, but let me just give this to people, because yeah, you're helping one of my friends right now, and obviously there's something that went a little funny in my space today that was like I was so excited to get on the call with you, and then all sorts of stuff just seemed to be like in the way, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what is that? Is this
Well,
like, you know,
yeah. Well, I'll tell you what's happening. What I've
do you sense
noticed
like, is it a,
is that there's a lot more energy around at the moment. You know, the world's speeding up, a lot more energy, so a lot more darkness and a lot more light. Well, actually, a lot more of the darkness we can see now. It's becoming visible to us. So, but actually, because there's a lot more light that I say, is that I think I can work more effectively and more powerfully, probably than I could have done a few years ago with this work. So, because I've got a lot more energy to work with.
yeah.
So, but this darkness is coming up and showing itself in lots of ways. It's like, you know, and it's everywhere. Everybody has an element of it in them, but actually some people a lot more than others. And you know, your expressions and the way you express your expressions, your any anger and frustration
Your
and
words and your feelings,
your
yeah.
words, everything all comes out and throws stuff out into the field, into the and everything. But you know, and it can show up in lots of different ways. So I test the earth energies as well, and they can be, and the earth energies, you know, you might have heard like of water veins and water courses and maybe ley lines and energy lines
Yeah,
around the earth. Well, quite a lot of those are picking up the energy of humans and their emotion responses and their negativity, and they've got quite can also have quite a negative effect on our lives. And at the moment, I'm
that's
probably
so
looking at
interesting.
200 different, I look at over 200 different ways the energy could affect us and different forms of energy, because it can be in so many different areas that it can. So yeah, and generally, and then it can even affect your relationship as a family. And quite often, whenever I've done clearings, then, the family relationship improves, which is something I didn't expect to happen initially. So I can't hear you, Ralph. It's gone quiet.
Golly, it's so
Yeah,
crazy.
you
My
come back.
my tech issues are like off the chart right now. Can you put your link in the chat? I want to share it everywhere, and I was trying to like find it, and then it's like my I have got a disruption in the force. Something is going on in Ralph world, and
Yeah,
I'm glad you're here, because you can do this for people, and I want people to know about it, because it takes that whole like how you think and how you feel and your actions to a whole nother level. Like,
it does.
yeah,
Yeah,
it can
it does,
affect
yeah.
us.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah, it's very interesting. It is very interesting. Some of my, I mean, so I've had some surprising ones. So somebody came to me who, well, they were not themselves. They were connecting to, they got into doing some dowsing, which I use sometimes to can help me connect. And they were using dowsing and just getting into it. And they were looking at things on the dark web when everything was going on just 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh
And
man,
and they were, yeah, then they said, I'm now downloading code, and they were writing codes down, and being given to me to translate this code. Anyway, he very respectable, very normal. Yeah. Anyway, he
yeah.
a bit worse, and then yeah, one day, his family reached out and said, they're very worried about him. And anyway, then we were trying to help him, and then he said, and this was really just as I was getting into this work, and then he said, he told his wife he was coming down to see us. He didn't know where we lived. He knew the town, and it was 2 hours drive away. So he drove over. We told his wife where we lived, and he came to our house. And yeah, he was not himself. He was somebody else completely. He was going to take us out. we were going to go to an alien ship and go in their hotel. They were landing tonight. They wanted to speak to us about the future of the world and tell us their secret plans. Nobody else would know, just the three of us, and my wife included. And it was bizarre. So I went away and cleared the energies from him, and he came round just like that. He'd been possessed.
This is incredible. This is so cool, David. I'm going to have to jump off pretty soon, and I'm glad. I'm hoping you can continue with this at least the once a month, and like we talked about it. I would love to do more, even more frequent with you, because this feels like the missing link that I've been looking for. It's like there's all sorts of ways to heal things, and this is on a level that's that's beyond, but it makes sense. It feels right. So we're going to have you on more, and we're going to do a lot together. I know it. As long as you're in for it, anything that you want to, I put your link in the description of the YouTube video, and I'm going to share it on Spotify and Apple and Rumble and all these places, and Facebook. So look for that. Any parting words right now for people to give them some hope or?
Oh, well, there's always hope. There's always positive. But, if anybody's weighed down by anything that they can't put their finger on, and often, with healers, it can just be that they're feeling more heavy, or they're just not quite themselves. That's often a connection that something's not right, and something's probably stuck to them somewhere or in their energy field. And I find that, often normal methods don't often clear everything away, but, then happy to, just reach out, and I'd be happy to help.
Yeah. And then let me just read this again. So it's David at healingpeopleandspaces.co.uk. Oh, I see how I messed up last time. And so then the website is www.healingpeopleandspaces.co.uk. Yeah, people and spaces with the and spelled out.
Yeah.
So I will I'll share this crazy, and we'll do a lot more. This is awesome, and I thank you for being here.
Brilliant.
Let me go ahead and click off on the on our YouTube. Let's see, stop recording.